This is episode number 432 of the Health and Fitness Podcast by InnerFight, brought to you in association with Swiss Street Paleo. Adam Cox, the man from London, the man that believes that health is more than just working out. He believes in Workins and all things in between. This is an absolute epic show that I managed to pick up with Adam when I was in London. Enjoy the show. Another awesome guest is here to join me on this, the London Roadshow, part of the Health and Fitness Podcast. Thanks to you folks for supporting, and these are some awesome people that we're able to connect with during my time over here in London. Adam Cox, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all, mate. Appreciate you taking the time. Adam, your background is actually elite level sport. You're a swimmer.
I was, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into what you currently do.
So from about 7, I guess it was, I sort of got into the pool, started swimming, and loved it, was all right at it, won my first race, 25 metres breaststroke, and then...
no doggy paddle.
Well, there might have been a little bit at that age, but it kind of escalated from there, you know, training ramped up as I got older, got into my early teens. Found I was quite good at butterfly, so 100 metres butterfly became my event.
Wow.
And I did that up until I was 18, to a pretty good level. Yeah. And I guess you've had a bit of a read of things and found that unfortunately with the operation that I had, training was curtailed a bit, and sort of it finished there because I had eyes on making it.
That was it. Like, I mean, let's dig into that a little bit, mate. Because swimming was you wanted to make it at the top level of sport.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people growing up, a lot of kids, a lot of maybe some people that listen to the show that are in sport, like they want to head to the top level, and then something happens. How was that?
Gutting, to be honest. Yeah. I had my whole focus on that. So when I realised it wasn't going to happen, it was a little bit sort of. I had to recalibrate everything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really did. I was training 8 times a week as a kid.
Wow.
It's a lot, for a young kid. Yeah. A couple of times on a Saturday, a couple of times on a Wednesday. A Friday was the only day off. So I was dedicated. I was on it.
It was a dream.
And then, I just sort of, to be honest, I messed about with life for probably 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And then decided I wanted to look into my own health a little bit more and understand what was going on with these pains that would come and go. Yeah. And that's how I got into this, really. So
talk to us about what you do today. It's better that you give an introduction rather than I completely screw it up.
Well, so I'm a Czech practitioner. Yep. CHEK stands for Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology. Which, a bit of a mouthful. But basically, we do lots of assessment physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, find out where somebody is, roll all of that into one package, and then start delivering coaching depending on where someone needs it on any one of those spokes.
This is super interesting because you're sort of... I think sometimes through InnerFight we say that we're able to help people mentally as well, but I have to say sometimes that's maybe a little bit by default and just by abusing them so much that in the end they become mentally stronger.
Well, it works for some people, right?
That's sort of the way it goes. But do you approach things more from a medical standpoint? Like what's the training? How do you become a practitioner of those different pillars?
It's pretty intense training system. So there are sort of home study stuff that you do as prerequisites before you go and do sort of effectively like internship qualifications with the Czech Institute. Yeah. And it's a 5-level program. Wow. Each one usually takes about a year. Wow. You can practice at any level along that sort of scale, and there's also something that runs alongside that, which is the holistic lifestyle coaching side of things, which again is another 18 months.
Wow.
And then There's another thing called the PPS Success Mastery, which stands for Personal Professional and Success Mastery Program. So if you do all of that, Paul Check, the founder, says it's a 7-year program to complete all of that. So it really covers a whole breadth of life, from movement, what's going on inside emotionally, mentally, and then just helping people succeed, you know, because you can be coaching someone movement-based stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a human being that's coming in, not a set of muscles, a set of bones, you know, so you've got to understand what's going on for somebody. And, one of the things that always, excites me to think is that every single muscle that we've got has an organ that it relates to. So those organs also have emotions. If you look at any of the traditional Chinese medicine textbooks, they'll show you how all those things link.
Chinese medicine is a whole different way.
So absolutely. So if someone's got a tight quad or a tight calf or a tight pec, I'm always thinking, of all of those different aspects, not just we need to do a pec stretch, we need to do a quad stretch.
Mate, let's not abuse all the physios that are out there. But I believe, and you can join me on it or not, is that when we do go in with a tight pec, everyone just hits the pec area, and I've been much along the thoughts of what you said there, that actually the body is aligned in such a different way. I actually believe that a lot of it obviously comes through the spine, and so people that are treating just my pec, I'm like, you maybe don't really know what you're doing. Is there still too much of that? You can say something that might offend people, right? But is are people just going? And is that what the person wants as well? Like, do they? Okay, my pec's sore. Okay, let's treat that.
Yeah.
How does that all come together?
Treating the spot that hurts. I think there's clearly there's different people that have different viewpoints, and that's totally up to each individual. And these things are relationship based, so you usually find that the person that wants a certain treatment or procedure ends up finding the person that matches their psychology and where they're at, and that that is part of the process, and I guess that works for them. I guess this works really, really well when someone's been bouncing around and not really had results that they want to have. Yeah. And then the level of assessment that we put people through. Yeah. And the level of detail just enables us to open up avenues that perhaps weren't explored before. Right. So that's the way I see it. I think, like I said, it is a very much a sort of personal interaction, a relationship that you have with every client, with every.
But in someone like you don't always get that though, do you? You sort of go into a physio, you have a problem. Let's take the pec again. Hurts here. Yeah. I'll rub you for 30 minutes. Have a nice day. It'll be better. Or do these stretches that we never do. Yeah.
Well, I guess I think. Perhaps because we spend so much time with the way we practice, we spend so much time with someone, it's kind of inevitable that we develop that relationship. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. In the medical model, I don't want to start sort of bashing that, but it works from a business perspective.
It works from a business perspective, but how many people, and listen, I have friends that own clinics, and we've had them on the show, and we've spoken to them about it, but I just know so many people that will go to a clinic with a bad quad or with a sore back or something. Okay, did they fix it? No. Do you feel better? No. And I don't expect a practitioner to fix it within half an hour, but some people will be treated 5 or 6 times. And I'm seeing more these days, and this is why this is such an interesting discussion, because I'm seeing more these days of people's injuries perhaps being prolonged. I don't know if it's because we live in Dubai. But no, because we have a lot of what I would say is decent clinics and stuff. So I think the connections that you're talking about are even more important these days than ever before.
Yeah, I think... Do you know there's one thing that underpins all of this, and it's sort of one of my core beliefs, and that is that and it doesn't matter how good the clinic is, may I add, that we need to take responsibility as humanity for our own healing. So it doesn't matter how good the practitioner is. If we don't take away the stretches that we've been given, the nutritional advice that we've been given, the meditation advice that we've been given, if we just go along, pay our money, lay on the table and expect someone else to do it, it's never going to make a difference to us. So, and listen, that's the way the Western world is set up. We believe that the answer is in the expert, which is not empowering us, it's empowering them. It's disempowering for the person that's actually laying on the table. So I think that's where the crux of the challenge is. So, one of the things that we try to do is say, right, okay, guys, here's the tools. And we're going to show you. We could quite easily get people to lay on the couch and do most of the work for somebody. And you might get a result for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, and then they come back and go, it's not right. I've not had what I need out of this. I'd much rather tell people up front and then say, these are the tools, this is what you need to do for you. And this is going to make these tools will last you a lifetime. So it's actually cheap what we're doing. Well, that's rather than needing to come back over and over.
I think, and let's finish off bashing the modern day clinic, but the modern day clinic actually probably wants people to be 20% better or 30% better, not 100% better, so they keep coming through the door week after week. That's my opinion. Anyway, let's dig into what you actually do then. So I would come to you perhaps with give us an example of a patient that's been to you, mate, and how you actually assess them, what the treatment is, and so people can understand a little bit more of how you guys address it.
So somebody that I've just finished working with now does jiu-jitsu, suffers with low back pain, got a shoulder problem as well. It's had various treatments, massage, osteopathy, not knocking any of those, not knocking any of those things, but just really hasn't found what he was looking for. So a few weeks ago, we put him through an assessment. It was a couple of hours. We measured pretty much every joint on his body, found out, what range of motion he's got there, then coupled that up with his movement, looking at how he moves. And then we get people to fill out a load of lifestyle questionnaires, and one of those is the what we'll call an HAQ. So it's an organ and glandular screening form. So that then tells us if there's any stress on any of the organs. How we look at that is basically map it over to the physical assessment. We say, okay, right, so let's say the liver, for example. If the liver's showing up as high stress, I want to look at what's happening around the shoulder. Are the upper trapezius overly tight? Are the mid-trapezius overly tight? Is there something sort of dysfunctional around there? And then I'll start and produce a corrective stretching program, corrective exercises that help balance that, and perhaps then obviously some support for the liver and all of that good stuff. And then just slowly drip feed that into clients' programs.
It's sort of, and I think that's one thing when we go to maybe a traditional clinic, do you smoke? No. Do you drink a little bit? Do you have a healthy diet? Yes, everyone says yes. But you're sort of trying to take that level of screening to another level and really understanding. Do you think a lot of injuries and ailments are more bound up in further things, like maybe in people's emotions, or where does it stem from?
I wish I had a simple answer. I think it's...
Make it complex.
I think it depends on the individual walking in the door. It's a multi-layered thing. Some people will have the majority of their challenges are emotionally driven, but perhaps play out on the physical. Others purely physically driven and perhaps then have an emotional carryover. For example, if someone's really quite sporty and they have an injury, that can lead to being depressed because they can't do what they love to do. They can't get out on their bike. They can't get out and run.
Over that though, mate, like you obviously have some experience in this. Like everyone's going to be upset. Take it just a general person who loves to go to the gym. They're going to be upset if they pull a hamstring. How do you coach them through the process? And what's the go-to process of, okay, we can work through this, and keeping them of a positive mindset as they do that?
You got to look at something bigger. You got to take them above where they're currently at to pull them out of that funk that they're in. And it really is important to, so Paul Chek calls this your one love.
Right.
And it's really trying to elevate someone above their current situation to really give them something to grow towards.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. I think if you can motivate someone to do that, if they've got a big enough dream, a big enough goal, a burning, desire to get somewhere, the current situation, a little niggle somewhere it's just a bump in the road. Whereas if you just sort of isolate that.
But why do we get so downbeat about it? Why does it stop us in our tracks? And why does it? Because sometimes it continues like a small injury, like you say. It's just a small bump in the road. And actually, if you kept a positive mindset, you had a bit of good treatment, it should be gone in, let's say, for argument's sake, a couple of weeks. But that small injury has lasted 4 to 6 weeks because we see it as almost the end of the road, don't we?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the treatment model.
Yeah.
A bit of it, again, that comes back to it. And the level of responsibility, again, that we take for ourselves to actually put those processes in place that make that bigger difference.
Yeah.
A lot of this is sort of unconventional in the way we look at this. It's not quick fix, essentially. We're not looking at giving someone that quick fix. So, again, like I was saying with giving someone the tools, helping someone understand their own mindset around things is super important. And that takes time to unwind perhaps beliefs that are ingrained for, depending on who you're working with, could be 50 years, And starting to really give someone a new sense of perspective. I think that's important.
You're based here in London. How do people come to you? How do you attract clients, and how does your business work here in London?
Referral. We're purely a referral based business. Yeah. So and we have been for probably about 6 or 7 years now.
Wow. So you're obviously doing something right.
I think so.
But when you say referral, is that someone's come to you, you've healed them, and they've just told their friends, and they've come as well?
Yeah.
So what do people say that's different from a normal practitioner to because that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's like, okay, is it a physio? No, it's not really. Is it this? No. So what?
That's exactly what people say. They go, it's not really this. It's not really that. It's not really the other. You just got to go and meet them and have a go and see what. Yeah, that's typically how it gets pitched.
Really?
Yeah. And like I said right at the beginning, it's about a relationship. If it's right, if it's going to fit.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. I think I don't necessarily say that. There's only one, everyone should go to a Czech practitioner. Everyone should come to me. I think it's really about finding the person that resonates with where you are, that can be, that can empathize with that particular situation.
Yes.
Then you've probably got the right practitioner to help you at that level of challenge.
Yeah. I think it's a very good point. And I think a lot of it is being comfortable, like it's just to be comfortable with the person, because then they're bringing you a good level of energy, and instead of feeling like you're leaving, he just poked and prodded me for half an hour, you might have only poked and prodded that person for half an hour, but they thought it was the right pokes and prods that's helped them to feel better.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to emphasize is, we're talking perhaps a lot about problems.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily, just because we take this process, doesn't necessarily mean that someone always comes in and they can, hardly walk, or they've got lots of issues when they come in. But that sometimes is a process of going through the assessment, that we find stuff that was perhaps underlying, that was impeding optimal, performance, whether it's performance of body, performance of health, whatever it is. So really, we're trying to sort of get people to throw up their game, and in the process overcome perhaps roadblocks, and obviously we've spoken about what some of those roadblocks may be. So yeah, it's not always a case of someone's really, really struggling when they come in. It's just sort of being able to help negotiate
the right way.
Those things. Yeah.
So you learn this way of becoming a practitioner through an injury. Where are you now with your sort of sport? Do you still swim? Where are you at with things?
Maybe I need to go and see someone, because I didn't swim for a long time.
Sign up.
I didn't swim for a long time, so that's telling you something.
Yeah,
right. So from about 2000 to honestly 2009, I don't think I went in a pool at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was only when I got back in a pool in 2009 to start training for a triathlon, sprint triathlon, that I realised that I'd not been in the pool.
Wow.
And time had just gone by, and so yeah, I started training, and now, you know, I occasionally swim, but it's not my be all and end all.
Yeah.
I have a very sort of well-rounded approach to movement now, you know, and I do see it as movement as opposed to exercise. I love just getting
about the difference in that, though, mate, because I think this is coming more to the forefront. Like, did you exercise today? No, I did some simple movement.
Yeah.
So what's the... Give us your interpretation of how things are changing on that front.
Well, I think my opinion is that exercise has always been a very structured process of moving with a very definite outcome at the end of it. And usually that includes feeling absolutely knackered at the end of it. Right?
That's how we've measured it, though, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, swimming, that was what I thought was a good training session.
I'd absolutely spent.
Absolutely. Awesome. Whereas movement, you know, for example, Tai Chi.
Yes.
Is movement.
Yeah.
So, and you wouldn't necessarily call that exercise.
Right.
But, well, I wouldn't.
Right.
So, again, you don't want to keep quoting Paul Chek, but one of the things that he uses to sort of differentiate is he determines whether stuff's work out.
Yeah.
So traditional exercise stuff, work out.
Yeah.
Or work in based movement.
Right.
So work in based movement is where we generate more energy than we expend. So Tai Chi, Qigong are examples of working energy into the body.
Right.
So if someone's got adrenal fatigue, I mentioned that we screen the organs and glands when someone comes in. So adrenal glands can be one of the referral organs for lower back pain. So someone come in with lower back pain, we actually find that they're just burnt out.
Right. Which is... We just hold on that point a second, mate, because I think it's something absolutely amazing. Like, a lot of people will say, I have a bad back. Yeah. It's because I sit a lot. Yeah. I have a bad back. I lifted my kid the other day. But actually what you're saying there, it's because you just totally spent working too hard, not sleeping enough, and stressed out. That referred pain is your back.
100%.
Wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
And everyone is... What are they getting treated? They're getting treated their back by... call it a chiropractor or whoever we want to slate next. But isn't that incredible?
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with about this at lunchtime, so I once went along to an appointment with a client who was seeing a orthopedic surgeon. Yeah. So slagging orthopedic surgeons.
We're going to bash them all.
And I'm not going to have no reputation left after this.
But everyone's just going to come and want to see you, mate.
Yeah, maybe. So we went along, and I was just interested from the client's perspective. I wanted to know what was happening in his other areas of care. Yeah. And the orthopedic surgeon got his scan up on a screen and said, oh, look, there's 2 disc bulges there. That's the cause of all your pain. If I whip one of those out, do you fusion, you'll be right as rain afterwards.
No way.
And we came out, and he said, oh, so, you know, what are your thoughts about that? And I said, well, you know, I'm not quite so sure. You know, and I said to him, you know, there's a stat, 80% of the population will have a disc bulge on an MRI without pain. So there's 3 of us sat in this room.
That's insane.
At least 2 of us have got at least 1 disc bulge, but presumably none of us have got any back pain.
Wow.
So if we go to an orthopedic surgeon with our scan, he'll say, right, I need to take that out for you.
Take it out.
But it's
that's
not necessarily
how he makes
true.
money.
And the punchline is, this guy had the surgery, and it didn't make him
do
better.
anything
You still
different.
had the pain afterwards. So it's not always, the disc that's the issue. And in fact, this guy was burnt out. He did have multiple other things going on. So, I think we need to take a more holistic, more wide-eyed view at this rather than looking at the body through a straw and saying, okay, I can see a problem down the end of this straw, let's just deal with that. Well, that is actually connected to something else, which is connected to something else.
Which is all
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you, mate, on that. I often see more and more now, we deal with people that are probably 35 to 45, 50, so the age where the body's taken a fair beating. We've got a lot of people that might have played the contact sport, rugby or something like that, or just having done a lot of CrossFit badly. Like, it happens a lot, and they come with an MRI, and like, all of this is going wrong, or all of this is bad, and this is what I need. And the first thing I sort of say is, well, did all of that happen? Is all of that, do you know it's new? And is that really the root of the problem? And I think, it does sort of go back, and we sound really bad of bashing all these doctors, but it does sort of go back to the fact that orthopedic surgeon makes his money through cutting your back open. And that's what I'd really say to people, I think you'd probably agree as well, is that there's a lot of interventions that you can make before you start to go on the operating table. And I think there's a lot of different ways. One thing that we haven't touched on, but you can fix a lot through your gut. Through gut health is absolutely
100%.
huge.
Totally buy into that.
And it's
absolutely.
It's a very strange situation that we're in, and the saddest thing about MRIs, I guess, is that they don't give the date of that little problem when it occurred. So it's not, you might have had, like you say, you might have had that bulging disc for a long time. That's a great stat, though, mate.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It's really interesting. That's without pain.
Yeah.
So 80% of the people without pain have a disc problem.
Have a disc problem.
So that's,
So talking of, I love that concept of working out and working in. You mentioned a couple of things there. You mentioned Tai Chi as one.
Yeah.
How much, maybe it's coming up a little bit more as we see a lot of the sort of motivation gurus taking time out to meditate. Talk to us a little bit about what you think is the importance of something like meditation or of a practice like Tai Chi as well.
I see it as hugely important. In my as part of the process of writing my book, I came up with something I call the body bank calculator. So it's based on the idea or the principle that we have 3 primary hormones.
Right.
And without those 3 primary hormones, a human being is not able to function, basically. Right. So, one of the primary hormones is adrenaline, cortisol, and insulin. Right. Okay, so three primary hormones. One of them, let's say you take away adrenaline. Adrenal function, you've got stage 1 adrenal fatigue, stage 2, stage 3. And then Addison's disease, and Addison's disease is a fatal disease. Right. So if any of those 3 hormones are out of balance, so insulin, if our carb, protein, and fat ratios are in balance for our specific needs, that hormone's going to be disrupted. If we are not sleeping, as you mentioned before, the adrenal and the cortisol ratio is going to be disrupted. So we can manage those hormones by managing our movement and managing our lifestyle. And one of the things that the body bank calculator does, and as I said, it's about taking responsibility for ourselves, is very quick questionnaire, literally 60 seconds to go through it and find out, where am I today? Did I have a big session yesterday and maybe a long day of work and I didn't eat quite so well, so my body's really letting me know I need to repay it, which is where I got the analogy for the body bank calculator from. So if we go into debt, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, we need to repay that. So we can just then use any of the tools to help rebalance those primary hormones. Right. And when the primary hormones are balanced, we're healthy. Right. And when they're out of balance, there's going to be a symptom of sorts that occurs. So you were asking specifically about the work in, work out. The easiest way to look at it is... you could have a set program from a trainer. And you can take that work out program and make it a work in program by slowing it all down and changing the pace of the movement to the breath.
Right.
So if we, with a push-up, for example, that's the easiest one for people to visualize. As we go down in the push-up, if we just breathe in as we come
Hof
down,
is all over this stuff.
Breathe out as we come up. That's exactly it. Exactly it. And that's exactly what Tai Chi is. Right. It's just taking Tai Chi into a more traditional movement.
Right.
So, and that's been going on for, how many thousand years? Right? A lot.
Yeah.
So, you can do pull-ups like that, you can do push-ups like that, you can do squats like that, you can mix in actual Tai Chi movements like that. And you can come out of a session and feel energized.
Yeah.
Some people are probably going to be listening thinking, but I feel energized after I've done
1,000 squats.
Yeah. You're energized because you're buzzing on adrenaline. With that, as opposed to actually truly being energized with, the Tai Chi practitioners would call it, increasing your levels of chi. Your yogis, your level of prana, whatever you want to, whatever label you want to put on it.
Yeah.
It's that innate energy.
Yeah.
So there's a very big difference between being buzzing on adrenaline and actually being full of chi.
It's a super interesting concept, though, isn't it? Because it sort of does throw a lot of, like what you said there, you and I, early days, used to swim until you literally couldn't swim anymore. And now we're saying, right, in this session, you're going to do 15 push-ups, but with this breathing control, and each one is actually, going to take X amount of time. And you finish the workout, and instead of having done 2-mile swim, you've done 15 push-ups.
Yeah.
But you've done something internally that's absolutely off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not played a lot with the imbalance of hormones within your body.
Yeah, you've brought those hormones back into balance.
And
you also, I think it's HeartMath. Have you heard of HeartMath?
No.
So HeartMath Institute, they look at health based on a ratio between breathing rate and heart rate, and when those things are balanced, you get a certain number, and if it's the number's a fraction of a number, it dictates that you are unhealthy, and if it's a whole number, you are relatively healthy.
Right.
So the biological oscillators are something that HeartMath that talk about. So the rhythm of the cerebrospinal fluid, the rhythm of the breath, the rhythm of the heart, they're all natural rhythms that we have, and they should sync effectively. And when we're unhealthy, they're out of sync. So breathing is one of the key biological oscillators and actually brings all of those systems back online. That's really interesting
super
stuff.
Cool. Mate, you mentioned your book. You wrote a book called Back to Brilliant. Yeah. It was in the top sellers in Amazon. Give us a little bit of a rundown on that book and why people should, as soon as they finish listening to this podcast and all the other podcasts in our library that they haven't listened to, should then go to Amazon and buy your book. Give us a little bit of give us a sales pitch for it, mate.
So Back to Brilliant was written basically for people that we've been talking about today. People that are perhaps struggling, tired, overweight, not really being able to get the results that they want, struggling with a long-term ache or something not quite right. Yeah. And it's a 5-step process, really, that we use with all of our clients to try and encapsulate everything that we've spoken about. Yeah. So it's 5 R's: reconnect, rebalance, realign, rebuild, and recover. Reconnect really just talks about getting a better understanding of what my goals and where I am. Wow. So, there's a process in the book that really helps you to uncover that. And we talk a lot in the book about the shadow side of goals. So everyone looks at what we say the known expectation of our goals. I want to do a triathlon.
Yes.
Why do you want to do a triathlon? Oh, because I want to feel that, that buzz of doing the triathlon and being... What we... and have you heard of JP Sears?
No.
Check his stuff out on YouTube.
Okay.
It's good stuff. Giving JP a plug. But, I first learned this through him. He's an emotional healing coach, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And, he was coaching me at the time as a sort of mentor of mine, and he would always say there's a shadow side to all of our goals.
Awesome.
Which, is that unknown expectation we put on our goals.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important. And those can be the things that hold us back and tie us down when we're not able to achieve the things that we want to achieve. And, another really interesting stat, 95% of people that go into commercial gyms fail to achieve their goal or achieve something and go backwards. Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, that's why I started looking into self-sabotage and all of that emotional stuff. So that's really the reconnect side. It's getting more in touch with me. Rebalance, nutrition, lifestyle.
Right.
Realign is all the postural stuff that we've mentioned. Rebuild is actually taking those first three things and actually then taking it into something kind of a bit more sexy. A bit more working, all the work out stuff, basically.
Right.
Whereas before that, it might have been a lot of work in-based stuff, really rebalancing everything. And then the recover section is looking at different recovery strategies to help maintain the level that you've found.
That's incredible. Do you think
from a very from a very holistic perspective?
But the first bit is quite incredible because I see that a lot. I see that even more now. Like you said, I want to do a triathlon. I just want to do it. I want to, but there's no real reflection on understanding really why. And so therefore, if you do stumble across late nights at work, a baby that cries, or even, God forbid, a small injury, your motivation to complete that goal kind of just goes immediately. I'd be interested to see a stat, which we'll never find, but I'd be interested to see a stat on how many people say they're going to do a triathlon, a marathon, or lose 15 kilos, and who actually do it because of what you're saying, because of this sort of what actually goes hand in hand with the goals as well.
Yeah, totally. I think goal setting on the surface of it seems like such a simple thing. You say you're going to do something or you want to achieve something, and you kind of write it down on a piece of paper and maybe break it down into the number of weeks. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of emotional reasons why we would want to achieve that goal in the first place. If we can connect with those things, I think that would give us a much deeper level of understanding of self. And maybe compassion to self as well when the going gets tough.
I think that's what we run into, don't we? We focus only on the outcome, and then it's hard to focus on things getting tough, but they do get tough, and we don't know how to react. We don't know how to behave.
And this is what I would say, actually. Type A personalities listening to this would go, "What are you talking about?" You just kind of push on through. My irrespective, 24-hour days, who needs sleep and all that kind of stuff. What I would say on that is, yes, you can achieve goals, come hell or high water. But what happens to the rest of your life? And what happens to your health in the process? My process, my sort of point of view on goals is everything wants to sort of be in balance whilst you're achieving the goal. So that's why I sort of mentioned the emotional the connection, because I've had that discussion with Type A personalities before, and they just look at me like I'm speaking another language.
I understand it. I think I've been referred to as quite Type A, so I understand exactly.
So you're politely
nodding his head. But I also think, mate, the more maybe I see and work with people with regards to goals is, yes, you do need that push on and push through, but you also do need what you're saying as well. You need that sort of balance and other things to be in check. Otherwise, it's just not going to work.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's where people get it a bit wrong. Like, what is the point where, okay, push on through is not the right thing. Let's pull back. Let's regather. Let's make sure that things are in place, and then we go again. And I guess that's the hardest, and that's why coaches, practitioners like you actually have a job, because that's where you support people as well, isn't it? It's like you've probably turned around to a client who's just super keen and gone, hang on a minute, let's just pull back. We need to fix A, B, and C, and then we can push forward again.
Absolutely. I think I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think a good coach is someone that holds the mirror up for the person being coached, as opposed to dictating.
Yeah.
I would say that I used to be a dictator.
Right.
Definitely. But I think to help someone grow, both physically and inside, emotionally, mentally as well, through the process of achieving something, whatever they're setting out to achieve, I think we need to be there to fire off a well-timed question to the person.
Yeah.
Perhaps more than shouting, screaming, and patting them on the back. It's I said it before, giving them the tools to do those things themselves. That's real inner growth.
Yeah. You said something else before as well, mate, which I want to pick up with to sort of close things out.
Yeah.
You said something about people taking responsibility and actually admitting to problems and sort of understanding that if we go back to really at the start what we spoke about, you're not going to fix that problem 30 minutes, one physio session once a week. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit more about how people should be taking that responsibility and more taking control rather than
abdicating responsibility. So how do people take control?
Yeah.
I think comes back to goal setting.
Yep.
And understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve, and how perhaps whether it's you talked about the pec thing before, shoulder thing, understanding how that relates to a bigger picture. So you said wrapping up. I might just lead us off on another little rabbit hole here. But so one of the things that I do with some clients when it's appropriate is we do a process of legacy mapping and core value mapping.
Wow.
Which is part of that PPS stuff that I mentioned earlier on, and that is really about getting someone clear on where they're at in their life and what the balance states are for them, and where maybe the imbalances are. And when you get clear on your core values, you know when to say yes to things and you know when to say no to things.
Right.
And only when you know those boundaries can you really start to take control and take responsibility for self. Yeah. So I know that probably seems like a bit of an abstract answer, and it's not a cool, gold, sexy sort of
but it's not
snippet,
sexy,
but it's true, because the people that are really healthy and happy are the people that are pretty damn clear on what their core values are, and they're quite happy to say to people, no, I can't do that, I can't come to that place, I can't make it, I can do this, I can't do that. The people that are unhappy are the people that go, I better say yes because they're going to think this, and and then they go and they just live a life of somebody else's choosing, and that leads to all sorts of other issues.
It's so funny because in
it's all ingrained. It's all intertwined. You can't unpick any of it. Yeah,
it's super interesting what you say as well, because I think one of the characteristics of the Middle East, obviously where we're based, is it's almost like people don't want to say no. They don't want to let someone down. Yeah. So they'll either go to something they don't really want to go to, or they just won't be upfront. And I remember it's probably about 5 years ago, I said to myself, I'm not going to lie to people anymore. Yeah. And I'm going to just make it very clear. So if you invite me to something, I'll either say, Adam, I'll be there. And you can bet, unless I really have a problem, I will be there. Yeah. Or I'll say, mate, I can't make it. Yeah. And I think one of the other things that goes with that as well, and this is a whole big life story or a whole big life coaching session, is I won't turn around and go to you, no, I can't make it because of this bullshit excuse I'm just going to give you. I'll just go, no, I can't make it, mate. Yeah. And it's not, because I also don't think that if I invite you to something and you say no, I don't need your justification. Yep. 100%. I believe that your justification is based on your decision-making process, is based on what you said just before, your self-awareness, your own personal values, and I respect that. Yep. I don't need you to justify it, but a lot of people are like, no, I can't make it because I need to pick up the dog from the kennel.
And you know when someone's doing
and
that,
they don't have
you?
a dog. You
can,
know, mate.
You can feel it.
No.
The energy just goes boof.
Just
and
goes,
you're like,
and
this person's
normally
bullshitting
it's
me.
the old body language, eyes looking up because they're thinking. But so I think people just need to have that confidence to go, no.
And usually that comes with that's so the chakra system.
Yeah.
Self-confidence, third chakra, usually that comes with a digestive problem. So these people usually have bloated bellies and hunched backs. All of that stuff's tied in, and you just can't unpick any of this stuff and isolate it. You've got to look at the whole lot.
The whole thing.
It's self-esteem, and that needs core values.
Mate, we've gone almost full circle. It's been an awesome discussion. I love it. I love unpicking. I love all the things that we've spoken about. I also love what you said about the book, and I will buy the book. Back to Brilliant, folks. You need to go over to Amazon. You need to get a copy. If it's anything like the last 40 minutes, it's going to be a read of absolute value. So I really think people should do that. Mate, the final question that we ask people is a really simply difficult one, and it's because it can be so long-winded, and I try and talk a little bit so people have time to think about it, but it doesn't always help the person that I'm interviewing. But what we close out with is, if you had one piece of advice that you could offer to people that you've learned along the way, what would that one solid piece of advice be?
It's easy.
Perfect. Hit me.
Listen to your gut instinct.
Awesome. There we go.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Adam Cox. Please make sure you go and check him out. Check out his website, movementlifestyle.com. If you're in London, make an appointment, connect with him. If you're in Dubai, fly to London, make an appointment first, then fly to London and connect. I honestly, and again, a lot of my friends work in the medical industry, and they're doing a great job, but I've never spoken to anyone that is so holistic and open as you are, mate. So congratulations in what you're doing. And definitely, folks, check Adam out. Check his book out, Back to Brilliant. You can buy it on Amazon, and you can come and see him, movementlifestyle.com. Mate, thank you so much.
Much appreciated.
Awesome.